to Stockdale, and welcome to the Access to Inspiration podcast, the show where you can gain inspiration from people who may be unlike you. We hope their stories and insights enable you to transcend your day-to-day challenges and reflect on what you are capable of achieving. Today I'm talking to Nontuthuko Mgabhi. Now, Nontu is an amazing woman. She is the first female from Africa to run 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 consecutive days. And she's also General Manager of Human Resources in her day job. Welcome, Nontu, to the podcast.
Thank you, Sue, for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Now, I'm fascinated to learn more about your adventurous spirit, perhaps I should say your marathon spirit. And perhaps you could share with us, first of all, what it was like when you finished that marathon efforts of 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. What did you feel like at the end of that?
The feelings really, I had so many mixed emotions that overwhelmed me, First feeling was I just did not believe I just finished. Feeling number 2 was because when we finished in Miami, I had booked a hotel very close to the finish line, knowing that my legs would be tired. So when I got to the hotel, I opened the door and I look at the bed and oh my God, today I'm going to sleep in a bed. Remember, for 7 days, I haven't been sleeping in a bed because you sleep while you're flying to the next destination. I remember opening a shower because throughout the 7 marathons, we only had an opportunity to shower only twice. So I opened water and I was like, oh my God, today I'm going to have a warm shower. I was overcome by those feelings of appreciating the little things that we often take for granted. But when I look back and I said, did I really pull through? Thinking about the likes of Antarctica, those were difficult marathons. So I was really overcome by what human spirit is capable of achieving.
And did you have a good sleep?
Oh, yes, I did. I must say I did, regardless of different time zones, but I just slept flat.
What a wonderful ending. So tell us a bit more about what did this challenge involve? Where were the marathons and how did you go from place to place?
The plan was it's always start in Antarctica because the weather conditions there are not predictable. So once you do Antarctica, it becomes a little better to actually know for sure that we will be able to cover other continents. So when we were due to leave for Antarctica on the 6th of February, because we all met in Africa in Cape Town. So when we were in Cape Town airport, we got a report that the weather conditions in Antarctica are so bad that our private charter plane won't be able to land. So we had to go back to the hotel and attempt leaving for Antarctica the following day. And the following day, unfortunately, the weather conditions were still not great. So the race director then decided, let us start with Africa. And for me, it was like pure joy. First time having first female from Africa, and we starting in Africa. As they say, God visits all other continents, but he lives in Africa. So anyway, the race director had to now organize a Russian-operated aircraft with people who are obviously experienced in landing in tough weather conditions. So when we finished Cape Town, we had to quickly rush to Antarctica. Then Antarctica became the second marathon. Thereafter, we went to Australia, Perth. After Australia, Perth, we then went to Asia in Dubai. After Asia, Dubai, we went to Europe in Madrid, in Spain. And thereafter, we went to South America in Spain in a city called Fortaleza. And then we concluded our adventure in North America in Miami.
That's quite a series of marathons to have to undertake, and in quite different temperatures, I imagine, as well.
That's correct, yes. And that also brought its own challenges. To your point, you leave Antarctica and you fly back to Cape Town to change flights so that we can get back to our dedicated plane that will cover us for all the continent, and having to fly to Australia, which is quite warm. Having just completed Antarctica was quite a thing. And obviously after Australia, we went to Dubai, which is also very warm. So it was quite adjusting to different time zones, also flying long hours, compromised sleep. it makes it more physical challenging more than anything else.
So how did you come to believe that you could do it? If somebody asked me to participate in that, I'd just say, well, I can't possibly do that. What made you believe that you could do it?
So truth is, you can never know 100% that you can do it. You just got to get to a point where you actually don't demonize fear. You do things afraid. You experience both emotions of courage and emotions of being nervous. And you accept them as deeply human as they are, because they are deeply human. So first, for sure, believe in yourself. And number two, it's about understanding that courage, like Brené Brown puts it beautifully, it's actually not about winning or losing. So I got to a point where before I registered for the race, I was like, am I sure? Am I sure I can do that? And then I got to a point where I said, I don't need to be sure. Courage is not about finishing these marathons or not. It's about showing up. And right now I'm deciding to show up. Once you see it as an opportunity just to show up, then you just do that. You show up.
I love that mindset that you have. Just get on the start line, and in a way, the rest will take care of itself.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about your background, where you grew up, and was running part of your life then? Or did you come to running later on in your life?
I actually grew up in a deep rural village of Umseleni. So that's where I did all my primary school and high school. And obviously, in a deep rural village, schools that are underfunded, sports is luxury. It's just not mentioned. When you don't even have school books, you don't even have enough teachers. In one classroom, there is like over 100 of you. So thinking of sports, oh my goodness, who's going to supervise you for that sport? No one's got time for that. So when I was young, I was not involved in sports at all. And after my schooling in Seleni, then I was fortunate to get a sponsorship to go and study. And then I went for my studies up to master's level. I finished, and then I qualified as a psychologist, and I went and worked for South African Breweries. And thereafter, I went to Rio Tinto. That's when I started exercising. And really, it's amazing because a journey of 1,000 miles really begins with one step. If I share with you that my love for running came from just entering for a 10-kilometer fun walk, not even a run, fun walk. And I must say, even that walk, credit to Zamalutuli, a friend who said, Nontu, let us go to Durban. So I'm in Richards Bay, let us go to Durban for East Coast Big Walk. So I'm like, that sounds cool. I mean, a nice weekend in Durban, let's get away from a small city and go to Durban and have fun. And then I was like, no, I can't finish 10 kilometers. Maybe let me enter for 5. And then she said, no, come. You will have a lot of fun. You won't actually fill the kilometers. And needless to say, she was right. I enjoyed it so much that when I finished, I started to adopt a healthy lifestyle whereby every morning I wake up and exercise.
And then going from that to even a marathon, it requires quite a time commitment, if nothing else, to do the necessary training. How did you find the time, let alone the belief that you could do it?
For exercise, I schedule it in the morning. I actually treat it as me time. It actually sets the tone for the day. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning every day, and I start my runs just before 5 o'clock. Why I do that? Because I've got full control in the morning. No one can say they want to visit me at 4 or 5 a.m. And there's no work assignment during that time. Whereas if I leave it later in the day, there might be a late meeting. There might be a relative or a friend who wants to see me. So now I need to negotiate my run with my commitments or my relationships. Whereas if I schedule it in the morning, I've got full control. And besides, I always believe that waking up early than the rest give you that urge. I do believe in going to bed early and waking up early. So finding time for me was not a big issue. What I needed to do was just not to wait until I'm ready. For example, from the time I started running, from no running, within 9 months, I ran 90 kilometers.
Wow, that's an achievement.
And when I signed up for the Comrades Marathon, for me, again, the thinking was, let me show up. If I bail out halfway, so be it. I was in the arena. I did it. I would have loved the fact that I did it. And then I signed up, and needless to say, I finished. I think what is more important is don't wait until you are 100% ready. Just do it and then see.
Now, I know that you were fundraising as part of this marathon challenge for a very good cause. Was that why you participated in the first place? Or did you want to then, once you'd signed up for the challenge, then think about supporting the cause? Which came first?
It's interesting you've highlighted that. I'll be quite honest with you. In 2018, I did 100-mile, 160-kilometer non-stop race to celebrate my 32nd birthday. So in 2019, I thought to myself, I've done 100-mile, something that I always thought it's difficult and almost impossible. And then I asked myself, what's next? So I went and looked for challenges that will help me challenge myself and push the limits. And then I came across the 7 marathons. And then I thought to myself, I can't just do it for myself. Then I remembered a school I met in 2018 that was in dire need for better school infrastructure. Then I thought, I'll sign up for this race. I'll get to satisfy my adventurous spirit, but also I'll get to change people's lives. And that for me was just a beautiful combination.
So there's a kind of bigger purpose. You get the personal satisfaction and you're helping others as well.
Absolutely, yes. It's fulfilling for me. It's fulfilling for others. So cheerful giver, cheerful receiver, everyone is full of gratitude.
It's a win-win all round there.
Yes.
How has your success inspired those that you work with, Nontu, in your day job?
It's interesting you've asked that question because, to be quite honest with you, I am more inspired and humbled by people I work with. If I even think about how I got to do this challenge, credit to my boss, Alan Wala, the CEO of Richards Bay Coal Terminal, because I had seen this challenge and I thought to myself, it's just not possible. 2 things made it not so possible. It's the price, obviously, to enter. And then, so it was a Monday. He was doing his walkabouts and he came to my office. Hi, Nontu, how was your weekend? I'm like, no, my weekend was good. I came across this and I'm like, I love it. But I was like, oh no, I can't do this. Obviously, it's physically challenging, but also it's expensive. And then he asked me, if you were to do it, it would be nice if you do it for a cause. And I said to him, how did you read my mind? Because I was thinking about a school in Mtubatuba. And then he said, RBCT will support you for your entry, go fundraise, and build that school. So he actually inspired me to do this. So they actually inspire me more than anything else. And, it's humbling, Sue, when you see people extremely excited about what you do, It shows that we're really connected. We are one with the universe. We are one with each other. And also, I want to believe, because I will obviously make my biases known, I'm very passionate about women empowerment. So what I do at work has actually empowered so many ladies. There's so many ladies who are now running, so many ladies who are taking on challenges, because I want to believe that by being who we are also giving others permission to be who they are.
Wow. I can see that if you hadn't expressed what you wanted to do on that day, you never would have known that there was somebody out there that would be able to support you and help you to make it happen.
Absolutely. And that day, Sue, it showed me one thing, that all dreams are possible.
So what did you learn about you from this experience, about you as a human being, Nontu?
What I learned more than anything else, Sue, I've always been a charitable person. I loved giving. But this experience has actually centered my soul so much and connected me to my higher purpose. Like right now, as you're going through COVID-19, the school that I supported by building the 5 classrooms through people's donations, they closed the school, obviously, because of COVID-19, and closing the school because many learners from that school depend on free meals that are served at school, meant that they will go hungry. So during this time of COVID-19, from April up to now, I actually distribute food parcels. I run some of the virtual races and raise money to distribute food parcels. Up to now, I've distributed over 250 food parcels and over 5,000 cloth masks to help them to comply with COVID-19. And these are the things that, although I was charitable even before, but I was not doing it intentionally. So it has actually connected me to actually feel the joy of giving. Like Muhammad Ali said, we all actually need to pay our rent of being service to someone else. So that's the thrill that I'm getting out of this. And this is deeply humbling and fulfills my soul.
No, I can see that, the passion and the energy that you talk about it. I'm wondering whether your background in psychology and the role that you play in human resources in your workplace, were there any learnings from that that you were able to bring to being able to successfully complete those marathons? Because I guess it's not just about the physical capability. I know that from my Arctic expeditions, it's about the mental capacity. So I'm wondering whether there were any crossovers for you.
Absolutely. You're actually absolutely right, because I always see running as a good metaphor of life. What I can say I learned from the challenge and applying in my role as a HR practitioner is, with the right amount of support, people are capable of achieving more. So I think about every time when we got into the plane, we were able to get into Wi-Fi. The messages I was getting, people sending me photos that I haven't seen because they were obviously updating the social media. People were so excited and believing in myself so much. And it goes to show that even at work, as leaders, we need to ask ourselves the question before we say someone is not performing, someone is not productive, someone is not engaged, as to how much support have we given them. And this support does not necessarily mean holding hand all the time, but be willing to actually invest a reasonable amount of time to attend to a person's fears or feelings. Because if you don't do that, then you will spend a lot of time attending to unproductivity. So what really kept me going, I must say, was also people believed in me. Even when the going was getting tough in Antarctica, I was like, no, I cannot disappoint myself. I cannot disappoint people. They have faith in me. The second one is preparation is key for success. Prepare for what's coming. Because I'll be honest with you, yet I had to be on a very robust training program. Per month, I was averaging about 550 to 600 kilometers to train my body to cope with fatigue and train my mind to keep going even when I don't feel like. So preparation is very important. Sometimes we talk about you overlooked for promotions, but maybe it's because you don't prepare. The third one is own your story and own your craft. Have the courage just to show up. Have the courage to do that presentation. Have the courage to raise your hand and say, I'm ready for that assignment. I can do it. Give it to me. So yes, do not wait for the time when you are 100% ready. Just show up, rock up. You'll be amazed by the outcome.
And I think that also goes with the earlier point you were mentioning about providing support, because showing up can as much be about providing support for somebody else as it is for showing up and having courage to do things for yourself.
Yes, yes. And that encouraging voice, when you see Nontu struggling to own her story, Sue whispers in Nontu's ears, you can do it, go. Because support does not necessarily mean money, does not necessarily mean a lot of time. It just means being able to actually encourage the heart.
I love that phrase that you said there. I can just see how that resonates with people and encouraging the heart. So after such an amazing challenge, a life-changing experience, I imagine, what's your next challenge? How have you taken that learning and utilized it further? Or have you said, well, that's it, now I can put my feet up and do nothing else?
It's almost impossible not to do another one. But for now, I'm focusing on finishing the building. The building should be completed in November. And the next challenge that I would like to do in 2022, obviously in light of COVID, 2021, it might be risky to plan a lot for. In 2022, I would like to run the North Pole Marathon. And I'll be doing this to support a girl child. I have an academy, a Go Beyond for a Girl Child, where I mentor and support 20 girls. So what I would like to do when I run the North Pole Marathon, the cost for it is reasonable, so I can pay for myself for the raise itself fully and raise funds to assist. There are girls who are like 12, 13 years who actually come from child-headed families. They are 12, but they've become a mother and a father looking after their siblings who are 5, 6. And there'll be like 4 of them living in one room. So I would like to build them 3 houses. It sounds like an ambitious dream, but it's just a basic structure, just to give them a place to hide their head. So that's what I would like to do. Because I really, truth be told, Sue, women, we face so many barriers. When it's compounded with poverty, it can be really discouraging.
And it's heartening to hear that again, that by giving to others, you actually give to yourself. It sounds like it's a worthwhile challenge to do when you can have a bigger purpose.
Yes.
So Nontu, if you had the opportunity now to go back in time, knowing what you know now, what would you have told your younger self about life and what's possible?
I love that question so much. It resonates with me on many levels. What I can actually tell my younger self about what's possible. Firstly, I would tell my younger self, hear what people say, but in the end, make your own decision. It's okay to listen, but in the end, make your own decision because it's in your hands. Ultimately, it's in your hands. Secondly, I would say don't take feedback or criticism from people who are actually not in the arena. Be selective about from whom you take feedback. Because sometimes we see the world as we are, and it's so easy to project our fears on others, our limitations on others. So have a select few who are in the arena, who are in action themselves, that you take feedback from. And do not listen to what a girl child should do or should not do. As you grow up, you are told many things around what a girl should behave like or what a girl should not behave like. No. Be who and what you want to be.
It's been really fascinating to hear about the success that you had and what it took to achieve that success. How can people find out more about you if they want to look on social media?
They can check me out. I'm on Facebook as Nontuthuko Mgabhi. That is Nontuthuko Mgabhi, Mgabhi. People who wish to support the causes I'm doing, they can send an email to nontu.mgabhi@icloud.com.
Fantastic.
Also visit the website on www.gobeyondforachild.com.
Those wise words there, Nontu. It's been a real pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Sue.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to Nontu talk about her marathon challenge and what she had learned from it. Please connect with us on social media to keep track of what's coming up. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook if you look for Access to Inspiration. Next week, I'll be talking to Vinay Chandra, founder and CEO of High Peak Software, based in India and the USA, about what he has learned from being a serial entrepreneur. So I hope you can join me then.